If you could own any sports bike, what would it be? More to the point, how would you go about choosing that bike? Would you be looking for the most brake horsepower? Or the machine that could get you off the line faster than anything else? Or the option that could hack it on track like no other? Or would road focus be your thing? How would you go about choosing your ultimate sports bike? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out. This is 2021's Ultimate Sports Bike Test. So we're on a mission to find out which of these 7 bikes is the one you should be investing your money in. So to make this test as fair as possible, we've equipped all the bikes with a control tyre. We're using Michelin's Power GPs, we've set the tyre pressures, we've checked the sag and the general setup on all of the bikes. With a bike like this, you're probably going to spend most of your time on the public roads. So it's important that we put the miles in. We're going to do around 700 miles over the course of the next week on these bikes. But this video is all about putting these bikes through their paces on the road and finding out what's good, what's bad, which is comfortable, which has got the best tech, which just works, which handles nicely. And to make sure you're getting the most in-depth and honest and professional review, we've got our best blokes on the job. I'm not just on about me, I've got Johnny Mack, who's been in the industry forever, since before the dinosaurs came around, testing bikes on the road, and he's going to be the lead guy covering that side of things. For the track, we've got Tim Neve, a current BSB Superstock lap record holder and race winner. He's just topped the BSB Superstock lap times as well at the recent test, and he's going to be putting these bikes through the paces and pushing them to the limit on track. And then there's me, Crashmaster, although I've been told not to do that this year.
So we've just finished the road part of the Ultimate Sports Bike Test, and us 3 have been riding these 7 bikes all week, and we've done hundreds of miles all over the place, and we've had the best time ever. We're just about to go through the rankings now and decide which is the best one on the roads. Okay, so in 7th place we've got the Kawasaki. Seems a bit harsh on the old girl, but there it is nonetheless in 7th place. It's not that we didn't like it, is it? It's just that there's better bikes with better features around it, and we can't ignore that fact. It was perfectly decent on the road, perfectly competent, but you know, when we're talking about things like the engine's performance and the way it pulls out of slow corners, it's just there were bikes with better characteristics.
You know, whichever way you look at it, the engine is fast. It's not got that electrifying acceleration like a lot of the other bikes here have got. You know, the technology as well, I mean, that's something that it's okay, isn't it?
It's average, it does the job. You can't feel it working, which is a good thing.
It's a very good thing.
You don't want to feel it cutting in. Learning it and understanding it all and operating it isn't the easiest thing, is it?
It's not the most intuitive of systems to work your head around.
You don't sit on it and just figure it out.
No.
I think we liked the riding position on it though, didn't we? That was good. We're all quite different sizes and shapes, and we all got on with the riding position perfectly fine. It's
comfy big bike actually.
Comfy big bike.
The brakes are okay. You know, they've got Brembo Stellimas on the ZX-10R, and they're great brakes. They maybe haven't got the best initial bite, but you know, they do the job and they will get you hauled up. But again, even down, we're picking hairs.
It's the initial bite really, wasn't it? A bit wooden, just not the initial bite.
It turns, you know, it's relatively stable, etc. But it was the odd one out for me in that it didn't feel a bike that you could bury that front end into a corner.
It's a little bit long, a little bit heavy, and it's good, but it's not great. 6th place, Honda Fireblade. Easily the most extreme bike here on the test. On the road, probably a bit too much, I think, is the sort of general conclusion. Main talking point about the Honda's the engine, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I love that engine in that, well, when it gets going, I love that engine. I love the sound, I love the raw acceleration, just the excitement that motor produces. But it doesn't get going until so high up the revs. And in general road riding, you know, you kind of want that power kicking in probably about 2,000 to 3,000 RPM lower and not nearly half as mental. I'm going to say this, that there's plenty of tech there and the tech is really, really good. It's probably not the most intuitive, you know, or easiest to toggle between, but the function of the systems is really good. I think on the road, one of its best attributes is the Öhlins Gen 2 electronic suspensions. On the fly, just change between, you know, road or a more track, firmer setup, and I like that. Not every bike's got that, and you know, that's a good thing for me. Yeah. They've got Brembo Stolima calipers, which are about as good as you can get on a sports bike, and the initial bite on them is exceptional, and then you get that ABS kicking in. You can dial it down. There are 2 electronic modes for the ABS. It's basically track and road, and even in track, it just kicks in so often and just takes the fun out of the equation. And someone has actively sat there and dialed in those algorithms for the ABS, and I don't get it. Yeah. Like, you know, it's almost like someone's lent on the keyboard, and you know what I mean?
Now its handling though is something special. Yeah, that is really special.
That front end feel, they've nailed it, haven't they? Corner entry, just, you feel part of the front wheel, don't you?
It's got the best front end of all of these bikes. I love it, I trust it.
It handles, changes direction.
So it just rolls, doesn't it? It's just a beautiful bike.
It is genuinely special the way it handles it.
It's unique.
It is.
Definitely unique.
Yeah, it is mega. Even though it has its obvious flaws, in so much as it's such a focused bike, in the context of being on the road, it's got a lot of character, isn't it? The sound that it makes, the way it suddenly jumps into this power mode and then it just goes whoosh, that is amazing. The way it rolls into corners.
There's nothing subtle about it, is there?
No,
from the looks or the noise?
Absolutely unapologetic in what it is. And we love it for that, don't we?
Yes, 100%, yeah.
So the Yamaha's in 5th position. Absolutely love this bike. The R1M, carbon bodywork, trick suspension, trick wheels. It's an absolute beautiful thing. The star of its show really is the engine, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that CP4 motor, it sounds naughty, it is naughty. It delivers and it's got so much excitement and character about it. I think we were saying earlier, it's also the only inline 4 that really does not feel like an inline 4. It's kind of got that V4 nature about it, which was obviously their intention, you know, to kind of blur those lines to get that torque and buzz of an inline 4.
We rated it really high on its technology. It actually came out second. For good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think the systems work really good. I mean, especially things like lift control. You can get that front wheel just hovering the ground. It's just beautiful how they work and allow you to draw the best out of that big punchy motor. The dash isn't overly exciting, you know, it's not the most intuitive of packages to kind of navigate around, but you have got that menu, and if you do go into it, you can adjust and characterize everything exactly how you want it. It's also got the adjustable electronic suspension, Öhlins, and that's great.
Yeah, I think we were all fairly sort of nonplussed about its comfort. We
Nothing wrong with it.
Didn't particularly dislike it. It was okay.
It's got a racy feel about it still, hasn't it? With quite high foot pegs and low front end, but it works.
So they updated it in 2019, and I remember going on the launch of the bike at Jerez and thinking, please let them have made those brakes decent. I mean, Yamaha kind of run their own brand calipers and everything like that. They did put different pads in it, you know, the front and rear brake are no longer linked, but they still feel horrendous. They still feel like someone's gone and got 2 bits of wood and wrapped them around the disc. I don't understand how things like that get signed off.
Okay, we're getting down to the business end of things here now. In 4th position, we've got the Suzuki, Tim's favourite subject. It came out 3rd for its engine.
It's that torquey motor, isn't it?
It's a beautiful thing.
It works right from the bottom. There's no step in the power delivery. It's smooth, so rider friendly.
Fuel injection's great, the throttle connection. It's safe to say it's last in the tech department.
If you wanted to define it really simply on tech, it's the only dash here that's not colour, which isn't the be-all and end-all.
There's nothing fundamentally wrong with any of it. I think that's probably why they've left it how it is, because everything works. Yeah. It's basic, but it does everything very well.
Scored really highly on comfort as well. It's got a mega riding position. Handlebars are in close and relatively up high. Pegs are nice and low. It's just a lovely bike to ride. The brakes,
good. Loads of feel, like really progressive on the lever. It's not jabby at the start, but it pulls you up. Yeah.
And the forks really support it nicely as well. And forks are nice, the way they dive down and just sit on the spring.
Out of all of them, had the most feel in your hand.
Next to tech, it's scored lowest on character, which is, again, probably more of a reflection of its age than anything else. It's strange seeing it score relatively low on character, and yet we're all sitting there saying we love it.
Yeah.
Its strength is also, in terms of character, its weakness. It's good because it makes it all simple. we're on the podium now. In third place, we've got BMW M1000RR. Its biggest problem, I think we all agreed on, is actually the S1000RR. Certainly for the road anyway. The engine is the main point.
The thing is, that engine is awesome. Like, it's so powerful and exciting, etc. But it doesn't kind of pick up in the initial revs like some of the other bikes do, like the V4s or whatever. It hasn't necessarily got a lot of character about the engine either, and especially lower down in the rev range you typically use on the roads. When it gets going, it's awesome, it's exceptional, but
it doesn't feel torquey, does it?
No.
Technology, we had a big disagreement about this. So
I'm going to say the dash is the best by a mile.
Yeah, the dash is, yeah.
It's like a TV screen.
Yeah.
It looks mega, but it's so hard to understand, isn't it?
Yes.
It's really easy.
It's not really easy. You kind of have to go through quite a few faces, if you like, on the dash and scroll down and push this and turn that and whatnot. Whereas some of the other bikes are really quick and instinctive and easy.
And it's never one button away. It's a scroll and a click and a... Isn't it?
It's quite a distraction when you're riding and you're trying to do that kind of stuff. You know, it's almost got a world of information when actually what you sometimes want are those basics and those quick fire options.
One thing we all did agree on also was the comfort. It's massive riding position, isn't it?
It was the second bike I rode at the start of the week, and I knew instantly that it was going to win the comfort hands down. Everything is in the right place. It feels perfect.
Okay, handling.
It is definitely, if not the lightest, the second lightest bike on test. And you know, it does feel nice and easy to throw around. It does feel like you've got to lean it a long way, which is a good thing, again, on the racetrack.
But it just doesn't fill you with confidence to go and whack it on your knee, does it?
I think it's the suspension. So the suspension's okay, but it's not...
It's acceptable, and that comes back to the original point. An S1000RR with an M-Sport pack is 10 grand cheaper, and you get the DDC, you get the carbon wheels, the lithium battery, heated grips, you get all of that, you don't get the wings.
You get them on eBay.
This is in the engine. All the money's in the engine on this thing. It's pistons, it's cams, it's all of that stuff. We really love the brakes on it, and that was the big thing about the S1000RR, is the Hayes calipers have been replaced with these bespoke Nissan ones. Setting aside the colour, I think we all agree they're a massive, massive improvement, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure on the blue anodised.
No.
It looks a bit something...
out of one of them catalogues, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're a giant step forward.
Loads of feel, a bit like Suzuki in terms of feel for me.
Good purchase, you know you're going to get stocked in time. You know, the ABS isn't kicking in every 2 seconds.
No, they're superb. Brakes are really
dependable.
super. In fact, we rated them as the second best. And then character, it kind of came up a bit short on character. It left us a little bit cold, didn't it? Hands were warm, but the rest of us were a bit cold.
It doesn't make a special noise, does it?
No.
It doesn't have a lot of presence.
No.
Is what I would say.
Yeah.
And you know you're in trouble when you've got to start explaining to people, this is the special one, because it's got the wings, it's got two-ring pistons, and this, that, and the other. You're in trouble when you've got to start explaining it. You roll into town on the Ducati.
Everyone knows it's
Everyone
there.
knows you're on something special, you know. One fun fact about this bike that I did mention, I think, to you before, is it's the only bike here, in fact, I think it's the only bike currently in production that has a captive rear wheel. So if you want to take the rear wheel out, you take the spindle out and lift the wheel out, and the chain and sprocket stays in position. It's one of those systems you look at and you go, that's genius. That is absolute genius. Why aren't they all
It's like a superbike setup. It's just in, out.
In, out. We salute you, BMW, and your captive rear wheel. In second position, we've got the Aprilia RSV4 1100 factory. What a bike.
Yeah.
This is one of the 2 or 3 bikes that we consistently fought over to ride, didn't we? It was
a popular choice.
It was very, very popular, yeah. There's a lot of upgrades happened to this bike, but really the star of the show is the engine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always had a great V4 engine, and it's still got a great V4 engine. It's Euro 5, yes, but it makes loads of power. Admittedly, low down, I do think that it feels the initial kind of sub 5,000 RPM. It's not exactly blowing your mind, but then it just kicks in, and it seems to be really smooth as well when you are, you know, rolling on and off the throttle. Always so much power on tap, and the fueling's good with it, and you liked it.
Slight lag, but like you say, once you get past that, it's mega. And for me, it's my favourite motor. Like, just put a massive smile on my face. It's so torquey, it sounded mega.
Yeah, lovely motor.
Loads of tech on it as well.
Yep.
It's also got the Öhlins active suspension. Really easy to get through the menus. I think we all agreed on that, didn't we?
Yeah, it was good for setup. I mean, you like that.
Yeah, I thought the controls were really easy to use. I got my head around it straight away. Just a couple of buttons to change engine braking or traction control settings. It's all there in one place. You don't have to flick through loads of screens. It's
we loved
really
it.
Good,
we absolutely loved that whole engine and the whole technology that controls it. It's spot on. Comfort, we were a bit divided on this, I think. I quite liked it. I think you two weren't so sure.
Not the comfiest bike, but it's very racy.
When you have a race bike, you don't necessarily go looking for comfort. You want precision and, you know, a bike that's going to get you around that corner and out of that corner fast, etc. And that's how I see the Aprilia. That seat is actually quite firm, which on track is a good thing because you've got more feel.
Yeah.
On the roads, it's not always such a good thing.
For a small bike, it's got a big riding position. I quite liked its comfort. It scored highest on handling. It was our best handling bike. It was the one we all liked the most.
Very much like the Honda, the front end. Feel very connected to the front wheel.
Yeah.
You can put a lot of trust in it,
Yeah.
into a corner.
Just nice, easy, precise. You just think where you want it to go and it gets to that exact spot, you know, and every single pass you can get it exactly where you want it.
We're pretty happy with the brakes. It came third on the brakes for us, which is mid-table, so there's probably not a lot really to say
wrong
about
with them.
They didn't dazzle, they didn't disappoint, they just did what they're supposed to do and stopped.
Yeah.
They gave good feedback.
We are splitting hairs with brakes, really, aren't we? They're all very good.
Yeah. Character, it came second for character, which is right up there. I mean, just look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The colours on paper wouldn't work, but
somehow
they do work.
Well, they're proven colours, you know, like the Reggiani look has been around for decades, and I'm really pleased to see it back on the kind of leader of Aprilia's family. You know, it's beautiful, it's different. I mean, it is available in a different colour, we should say as well.
You wouldn't have it in that, though, would you?
I'd have it in
I would. It's bold, isn't it?
Okay, so the winner of the road section of the Ultimate Sports Bike Test this year is the simply stunning and spectacular Ducati Panigale V4 SP. What a bike. This bike absolutely united all three of us, completely agreeing on almost every aspect. That is just completely blown our minds, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real special thing. Ducati's taken that V4, they basically robbed the best bits off of lots of different variants, bolted them all together and built a monster, and it's a beautiful monster. First things first, we've got to talk about that engine because it is ballistic, characterful, just eggs you on into wanting to squeeze more and more and more excitement out of it, and it just keeps on delivering. I mean, it's a weapon, isn't it?
Yeah, it didn't let us down in any aspect, did it? Pretty much topped all the categories we're judging on.
It's so good. First thing I'd like to know though is what is a Munster?
Yeah, I nearly said Munster.
I don't know what a Munster is, but we'll come back to that later. They've calmed down that bottom end. It was quite overwhelming before, but they've just given it polish. They haven't even knocked the edges off it, have they? And it's just made all the difference. And in that lightweight chassis with them wheels, it's ridiculous.
It's a winning combination, isn't it?
It is.
It's a monster.
It's a monster. Let's move on to the tech then. So we love the engine. With the engine comes all that electronics tech, and it's got all the bells and whistles.
Where the Ducati stands out is it's got brilliant systems that work really well, everything down to the ABS even, but the ease of which you can change them on the fly as you're going along, and it's all nicely displayed. Nothing can compare with it.
We gave it first position on engine and on technology, and it came second with comfort as well. So as well as all of that, it's a really easy bike to ride as well, isn't it?
Yeah, nice, big, spacious. I mean, there are a couple of things that, in terms of comfort, which you can mark against it. It's still got handlebars that trap your hand. You have to kind of retract like an aircraft your thumbs when you're turning in the road, or you're going to amputate them on a fuel tank.
That's the only hiccup in terms of the comfort for me was your handlebars digging in.
You two must have massive hands because I didn't have that.
And we like to turn a lot tighter than you. He must be catching it on his belly before he gets into full lock.
It's getting onto my handles. Handling, it's an interesting one, this one, because its chassis is basically the same as all the other V4s. It's got the same suspension that's on the V4S, and last year the V4S didn't do as well on the road as this one, so I'm wondering if it's these carbon wheels. because it is really, really easy to flick about and put into a corner and keep turning through the corner. There's no understeer. There's none of that, is there?
It feels a big bike, roomy, but it certainly doesn't feel like that when you want to change direction, does it? It handles as good as any of the smaller, nimble bikes.
Yeah. For me, I think the wheels make a massive, massive difference.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
It won in character as well, and you know, I think we've already kind of sort of touched on that, but let's just say this is the bike we wanted to ride.
Yeah.
All of us always wanted to ride all of the time.
It was pretty popular, wasn't it?
It was the number one choice. It's ridiculous how good this bike is and how easy it is to get to all the performance it's got to offer. It's got the spec, it's got the performance, it's got the kudos. We love it. It's won the road section of our test, and on to the next part.
So that's got the road element ticked off with these 7 bikes. Next up, we're on track, so make sure you watch the next video to see how we get on with them.